I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down.
It's in the night away. It's in the night away.
He drinks a whiskey drink, he drinks a vodka drink, he drinks a lager drink, he drinks a cider drink. He sings the songs that remind him of the good times. He sings the songs that remind him of the best times.
Oh, Danny boy, Danny boy, Danny boy.
I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down.
It's in the night away. It's in the night away.
He drinks a whiskey drink, he drinks a vodka drink, he drinks a lager drink, he drinks a cider drink. He sings the songs that remind him of the good times. He sings the songs that remind him of the best times.
Don't cry for me, ex-door neighbor.
I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never g
I do not endorse anything said in this stream.
Welcome, everybody, now and temporally in the future. We are now breaking the multiverse. Literally, at this point, we're at multiverses. Why do I say this? Well, as I'm going through the little tab and it's saying new things that I do not understand here. Here's why I say this. Shaggy
This
Rogers.
can go two ways, punk.
Oh,
One,
which
you
way is it
walk
going?
away. Two, I walk on your face.
The music! He's got the music! Oh, here we go. Here it comes.
Your choice.
Fuck, baby. All right. Basically, Shaggy goes around and he completely ruffle stomps an entire crew of folks that wasn't from some of the new adventures of Scooby-Doo or something like that. Well, that's not important. What is important is knowing your meme. Because memes are highly important, because they are the mimetic material that connects us all. Kind of like chakra. It's a conduit. If only we happen to have something like, I don't know, this internet of stuff and things to connect us. What you do with it, your choice. If you want to be angry, the internet will totally make you angry. If you want to see cute cat videos, you can totally see cute cat videos. Now, if you want to basically see the best theories of everything ever, you can totally find those as well. Now, when I say you should know your meme, what am I talking about? As we can see right here, you should know your meme. Thank you. I do not want to buy that. Ultra Instinct Shaggy. Yes. You thought Son Goku was the only one to do it. Ultra Instinct Shaggy is an Ultra Instinct remix featuring the character Shaggy from Scooby Doo, undergoing the Ultra Instinct transformation of Goku from Dragon Ball Super. After an Ultra Instinct remix featuring Shaggy grew popular, the character developed a fandom online. And as we all know, fandoms are important. And according to meme magic, we can actually make this thing real. Why do I say this? Well, let's continue onward, as I totally didn't prepare enough, but oh, wait a second. We here we go. We're going back over here. Oh, because we all know that these characters and stuff and things, they are brought to us by Warner Brothers, who I may or may not have actually tagged there. Somebody has joined us.
Hey
Big
y'all.
one. Welcome, Arwen Avalon. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for
Oh
enduring through
God.
our-
You know what? Hang on. I gotta plug you in. Shit. Hang on.
Oh, well, it helps when you're plugged in. It's okay. It's okay.
No, I just
We
got
are
off a t-shirt
professional.
stream, so
Well,
honey,
these things
go ahead
are
and speak.
important. I see you there.
Okay.
Oh, and we have LDG as well as we have a Stone Cold Jeremy. I probably should upload some Stone Cold music because I do also enjoy hearing the proverbial a glass break and everything. And real quick side note, if you take Stone Cold Steve Austin's theme song and Razor Ramon's theme song, they're actually the same song, just at a different tempo. Because if you listen to it, Stone Cold, it's like shh, da da da, but Razor Ramon's like
I didn't know that.
these are just the
Nice.
things that I notice when I analyze different waveforms, because we're all wavy particles, bro. So let's Avalon.
Yes.
How are you doing? You just got off a was it T-shirt historian
Hey.
stream?
I did. I had 3 streams today. I
Wow.
had Eris's, and then I had Daryl's at Backtube, and then I had t-shirts. So, but we're done. So now
You
I'm
are
on
a
yours.
very busy and in-demand woman. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It totally helps the
course.
numbers and everything. I'm just saying. We're gonna take
I
a real quick
love the
look at
idea of
this.
breaking the multiverse, so I'm here for
It
it.
well, the crazy thing is, I started the show without actually doing my research on what was actually going on within the multiverse, and apparently this is a thing.
Okay.
Okay, so that was actually featured within one of the more recent Wombat movies that was released. You had Scorpion, thinking he's going to do all the stuff things, and then all of a sudden, from behind the WB logo, you had Ultra Instinct Shaggy reach out, grab him by the throat, and use his own tagline against him. That, in and of itself, was just an Easter egg. And
Yeah.
real quick history, the way this kind of came along, Arwen, is, and for those just joining us as well, I see you there, Kotov, as well as a Sigma Dialectic. What's going on? Oh, you have a friend. Yes, redheads are people too. We totally do exist.
Hey.
But essentially, right when you had the Dragon Ball Super and you had the song Ultimate Battle, also known as Ka 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 Kiyajes or whatever, I just slaughtered it. I apologize. But that song was very well done. There was also a scene in one of the newer Scooby Doo's where Shaggy all of a sudden just gets this look in his eye and he just starts
Mhm.
raffle stomping like a gang of bikers that he ended up getting into an encounter with and everything. And somebody did a remix of that. And they put it to the song, and it just works so well that people continue to meme it. And they continue to meme it, and it literally has been memed into reality.
I know what that's like.
So, well, basically, anybody that's where is this? Where is this? Here we go. Multiverses.
Binks.
But essentially, you have different platform fighters. So most of us are familiar with like the game Super Smash Brothers. Been around from
Yes.
Nintendo, long time thing. I was
Yes.
really hyped last year when all of a sudden they introduced Sephiroth, because anytime you can have especially a very powerful bad guy and they can come in, you just hit that Sephiroth music, and all of a sudden he
Mhm.
just starts going in there. I'm like, I'm totally all right with that. I almost thought about doing that for Halloween. My hair wasn't long enough, though. I'm not quite cut enough yet. What ends up happening is this literally has been memed so much on the internet to the point where we've gotten to the point where we're literally here right now. So the WB is basically doing its own Smash Brothers. I kind of heard about it a little bit, and I'm like, all right, that's kind of cool.
Removes the
As
pain
you can see
points
there,
and brings in some new ideas.
it basically uses
Okay.
Smash Brothers.
Versus-
So basically, you have everything from the greater DC universe as well as literally Looney Tunes. So they have characters everywhere from Superman, Wonder Woman, Harley Quinn, Bugs Bunny, Tom and Jerry. Arya Stark is in it as well.
What? No.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
God.
No. I ain't even playing here.
For
See, Bugs
teamwork
Bunny,
and co-op to
Steven
deliver a more
Universe,
unique experience.
the
Stark,
Gems.
Game of
And for
Thrones.
those of us who like to play solo, don't worry.
So
So bring them to life with as close to one-to-one
We got
representation as
all
possible.
these other
Through
characters here.
visuals, the worlds,
Yeah. Come on.
the
Where is it?
music, and more characters. I recognize a lot of them.
Bitch
We're
didn't
gonna
know about
recognize
my
them.
dancing
Oh, we got
powers.
Jake.
My roommate thinks I have anger
Harley.
issues. Let's see
Harley.
what.
Wait,
Get ready to eat my sword.
wait for
We're
it.
excited to show you our takes on characters from Tom and Jerry,
Oh,
Arya
yeah.
Stark,
Not
Yeah.
today.
to
I got all kinds
Oh!
Shaggy.
Super
Each
Shaggy. Oh,
fighter's multiverse is unique.
Yes!
A range of
Ultra
customizations
Instinct
available
Shaggy!
for all of them.
he just
And
owns
that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Superman. He just owns it. You look at the reactions online. 'Cause I literally this just happened within like the past week and a half. You're looking at like the Angry Gamer and stuff like that. They're just watching. And they're just like, oh my god, you literally memed it into reality. It does exist now. The most powerful warrior in the multiverse has awakened.
Oh my gosh, no.
So these are just the things that I see going on, and I'm like, I am totally all right with this right
I
now.
can
It
see
just,
that. I'm okay with that too.
I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, all right, you want to talk about fan service? I don't know how much you get more fan servicey than that. I mean, the only way you could do something like that would be for any of our viewers that may enjoy the dancing squirrels.
I
That
love the
was
dancing
for you.
squirrel.
But it's just a real quick aside. It's one of those things where it's like you're not necessarily expecting it, and especially for something like a UI Shaggy. It's like,
Mhm.
well, we grew up with Scooby Doo. What do we know
Yes.
Shaggy as? Well, basically, he's Scooby's sidekick. Well, yeah, no, he's Scooby's sidekick. I was gonna say Scooby was his sidekick, but no.
Well,
It's
I
called
mean,
Scooby Doo.
that's open to interpretation, though. I mean, yes, okay.
It's true.
From a layman's perspective, maybe he is Scooby's sidekick, but at the same time, aren't they kind of dependent on each other? I mean, aren't
This
they
is
kind
true.
of
It is a
one?
symbiotic relationship. I will
Thank you,
give you that.
symbiotic. Yes.
And Kodov, I would totally be all right because all I know is Zack Snyder at one point he had said I would be open to directing a Dragon Ball movie. I'm like, okay, you might not want to actually do a Dragon Ball movie, but if you do a parody of like Ultra Instinct Shaggy, like through like the multiverses or something like that,
Yes.
I would be all right with it. That
I
would be amazing. You can incorporate the Snyderverse. Why? Because it's literally at that point you're just doing the whole multiverse. Everybody wins at that point. I'm
Yeah.
just saying. Hey there, Doc Smith. I see you
I
there
agree.
as well. Thank you for joining us. But we're discussing how the multiverse literally it's being broken, and this has been something for me for a while. I'm like, well, if we live in a multiverse and you have the ability to go through all these different universes, and you don't
Yeah.
necessarily need to make it canon, because like for me, when I was doing some research about different stuff and things, I happen to be a big Deadpool fan. I wonder
Oh my
why.
God, are
I
you really?
wonder
Okay.
why. It's because, well, all I know is I think I identify with that because my mind kind of goes D D D D D D D D, and then it's like, oh look, turtle, chimichangas. I like those things, as well as just doing the random aside to like break the fourth wall and be like, oh, I see you there, here and everywhere. Gummy bears bouncing there and there and everywhere. I adventured in a da da da. I really should actually learn the words. I see you there, Ken. That's all right. It's all right. Yes. We has been shagged, Kotov. That is technically
I love me
correct.
some freaking Deadpool.
I don't know. I don't know. As well
Yeah.
as Ken, who we have interviewed
Although,
here on this channel, is joined. Go on.
to be fair, do you know who I identify more with?
Go on.
Okay, not Deadpool, but Deadpool's girlfriend.
Oh, you identify with death.
Yeah, because she is there for him through all of that. But you know what? Deadpool was selfish. Deadpool was actually selfish because he took that choice away from her. He left her. He didn't give her that choice. And he should have trusted her to decide what she wanted to do with, with his cancer and with his transformation and everything. And in the end, you know what? She chose him. She was like, "No, son. I know my own mind and I trust you." And that's sometimes people don't do that. They don't give the people around them that choice. They take that choice from them. And that was the one thing Deadpool did wrong. Now, don't get me wrong. I love me some Deadpool. I absolutely do. But
I
he
could-
didn't trust her enough to say, "Hey, this is what's going on. And I need to tell you what's going on."
That may be another reason why I also identify with Deadpool, because I'm a dick. It's
Okay,
It- I
Deadpool
mean,
was
it's- it's
very
my
much a
middle
dick
name.
in that regard.
Yeah.
I agree. He very much was. And but you know what? She stuck by him in the very, very end. Once she found out what was going on, she stuck by him. And I can relate to that. I know what that's like.
Oh, I feel you. But you also have another fan there in the chat as well. From the War Shack. All hail beams of destruction. Bring the gorgeous redheaded lady to the show. Well, I try. I'm not gonna lie. I totally like pretty redheads. I don't know.
Oh my
I don't know.
God,
As a partial ginger myself, I do identify. It's as well as Koto. I identify as Deadpool as a friend of a cool bartender. That
Oh,
is also
sweet.
canonically accurate according to at least Marvel interpretation. So, I just thought that was a very fancy thing, and it
Yeah.
was also I'm like, well, we got multiverses and everything. I'm like, all right, it's supposed to be free to play, multi-platform. I'm like, how dare you start to give the fans what they actually want and get to have like Superman versus Harley Quinn versus this person, freaking
Yeah.
Arya Stark battling Wonder Woman and everything. I'm like, oh, that's freaking cool. I might actually play it. I don't know. I haven't really been playing a lot of games. I've mostly just playing the internet on this
Mhm.
side of things, on the YouTubes and everything, because this is
Yeah.
also a broadcast that is exclusively on YouTube, because I think I wore out a lot of my Facebook friends and stuff. And I want to give them incentive to actually come over here. It's gotten to the point where it's like literally even like some of my bosses and stuff at work are watching, because like one of my bosses is like, oh, you do videos and stuff. It's like, yeah. It's like, oh, well, what so and so, she happens to like you. You do a lot of shirtless things. Hi, Carla. But all I'm saying is it just happens to be interesting. Well, this is one of the things. It's like, all right, a lot of times when we go on this internet, we happen to, I don't know, maybe don ourselves of a particular way. We may happen to present ourselves as a character. While I am a character, especially while I'm wearing I call these ricks. But while we're doing that, to be fair, I also went to my friend's wedding kind of dressed like this. Why do I say this? Well, number one, I forgot a dress shirt. So number two, I'm like, well, I got a jacket. I might as well put a shirt on. They see me in the shirt all the time, and also
I
have to be
like your
concert
level up shirt. I think it's
So-
very you. It's
What-
very you.
Why,
like
thank
it.
you. The other we got brightest day. Oh, look at this! Look at this! We got so many
Hey!
fans of that chat. Now, again, if anybody wants to get algorithmic traction to this, I'm not gonna tell you what to do, but feel free to do whatever you want, because you can. And
Yeah.
the other thing too is, well, I tend to do this because it's like, this is one of the things, and okay, we'll get slightly, not necessarily more dramatic, but just in a contextual sense. When you got a lot of things going on in real life, let's say you have a rally, a protest, or something like that. Now, if you're going someplace and you're expecting conflict, and you dressed for conflict, there's a good chance you're going to find conflict. At least from what I've learned from Xena Warrior Princess, because that was what she told Gabrielle back in the day. It's like,
Mhm.
keep keep the stave. Why do you keep the stave? Well, the stave is also a walking stick and the other stuff and things. As soon as you
Yeah.
pick up a sword, you become a target. What happened when they got into a battle? Xena knocked down some dude. Gabby picks up a sword. She immediately becomes a target. And
Yeah.
they happened to be an event going on in the greater Boston area several years ago. They were having the Straight Pride Parade, which the
I
city
heard
ended
of
up
that.
they needed to let them do it because it's the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and we do not want to discriminate, even though it was initially shut down. So they had that. There was a
Mhm.
second event, the Let's Take Back Our Pride event as well. So I'm like, all right. It seems like two different factions are getting ready to kind of have events at the same place at the same time. So I'm like,
Yeah.
what can I do to prevent this conflict? So I put in for a permit for the city to have a third event, the Rally to Restore Sandy and/or Turtles, because politics aren't binary, and who doesn't like turtles?
I agree.
They-
Turtles are great.
They eventually they told me I could show up and everything, so I'm like, all right. I show up there, I put up my table and everything. I had a lot of good conversations with people, and the
Okay.
thing that kind of bothered me is after the fact, I talked with some folks, and somebody was like, "Oh, I was thinking about having one of the guys I know online go out there," and he's like, "Well, he was kind of hesitant. He was afraid there might be some bad juju." And it's like, "Well, I was going to send him some tactical gear," and I'm sitting back, I'm like, "You do realize if some dude shows up wearing tactical gear at a place
Yeah.
where tempers might be a little heated, people are going to probably perceive you as a threat." So that's one of the reasons why where I go to places,
Yeah.
I'm just the dude wearing sunglasses and a yellow level up shirt. So it's like, all right, I'm not trying to blend into the crowd. I'm not using black block. I'm not using blue block. I'm literally just the standout sore thumb with a yellow level up shirt. If anything
Mhm.
happens with me, you're going to know who did it. I also don't
Yeah.
really plan on going out there and starting stuff. So I spoke to different folks of different sides. I actually got two opposing folks. It was kind of like herding cats in a way. It's like this person highly disagrees with this
Know about
person
that.
here. How do I bring
Mhm.
them together? I got myself a box of munchkins because everybody likes to eat. And I fed these two individuals munchkins, and I actually have a video. One person went on camera, the other person did not. Totally went up to them. I'm just like, I listen to people's concerns that I hear on the internet. It's like, well, people don't want to be doxxed. So rather than running
Yeah.
up to a bunch of folks that I may disagree with a camera in their face, I just politely go up to them, just be like, would you all be all right? Maybe answering some questions. You don't have to be on camera. And people were polite and respectful with me. I'm also
Right.
not necessarily the smallest individual, but I also try to be respectful as well. So these are things we keep in context, as well as we have the OG Keely Chow here. Welcome as
Keely, roll
well.
tide.
Also a very big fan as well of Miss Avalon as well. But I can neither confirm or deny Kotov on Justin Bieber. All I know is he does make a whole bunch of music and everything. And yes, I can confirm Arwen's hair is freaking amazing as
Yeah.
well there. But
Thank you.
these are just some of the things that I'm like, all right. So if I try to be consistent with whatever
Mhm.
I'm doing, I'm like, all right, doesn't that make things easier? Because now I don't need to pretend to be one thing and then
Yeah.
pretend to be another and try to keep it in my mind. Because I'll give you a quick example and then I'll let you comment because I'm totally
Okay.
bloviating. But I went out
Okay.
with
That's so good.
the Guilt man himself, Mr. Thomas Guilt, a couple weeks ago. We went to go
Mm.
see Venom 2. He happened to see it with like a bunch of the G&G folks and everything the night
Okay.
before. And I'm like, oh, you already saw it? He's like, I'll see it again. I'm like, thank you, Thomas. I actually get to get my butt out of the house and see a movie for the first time in a long time in theaters. So we
Mhm.
went to see it. It was interesting because when we walked in and everything, like Thomas and I, we're also friends on Facebook and stuff like that. So he knows who I am
Yeah.
and everything. But when we went up to order, he's like, Memes, do you want anything? And I'm just like, I found that fascinating. I'm like, you can say whatever you want. It's like if he's like, oh no, I just most commonly refer to you as memes. I'm like, I'm totally okay with that. It doesn't really bother me as well. In fact, I maybe even like it a little bit more. And it's not that far off from whatever my actual name is supposed to be. Not that it matters because I need the rock clip. It doesn't matter what your name is
Mhm.
because the thing is, it really doesn't matter what your name is.
Yeah.
What actually matters?
It doesn't matter who we are. What matters is our plan.
Thank you, Bane. I do have a few clips. But that's the thing. It's like as long as you're consistent, you don't need to worry about this or that. It ultimately comes down to it's like this is why I really can't. I'm not good at lying. Do I lie? Totally. But do I really go out of my way to lie? Not really, because I'm not
Mhm.
smart enough to keep track of all my lies. If I tell this to this person and this
That's
to
the
that
key.
person, you're
Yeah.
eventually going to get caught. So it's like, all right, rather than telling something what a person wants to hear, why don't I just tell them what they need to hear? What's the truth? They might not like it, but at least I don't need to worry about it coming back like a week, a month, a year later and be like, you lied to me. It's like, I just recall the best that I remember. Do I always remember well? No, I totally misremember, but I apologize. I've been taking up too much time. Continue.
Do you want me to comment on that?
Oh, yeah. Go on.
Okay. All right. I agree with you to a point.
Okay.
Okay. Yes. Sometimes people hear just what they need to hear, whether it's to encourage them, whether it's to get them out of whatever funk that they're in, whether it is just to take them and elevate them to that higher place that they need to be. However, everything, oh my God, thank you. Everything needs to be rooted in a grain of truth. Because if it's not, then it's meaningless. Then you're just speaking to the air. You're not really encouraging them. You're not really elevating them. So, like if shit, I'm sorry, I can't think of an example. Let's see.
Well,
Okay,
if you're gonna give somebody like a good comment or something like that,
okay,
okay. So somebody
yes.
does some art. Do you think it is the greatest thing you ever saw? No, but like you notice some of the tracing, some of the lines and stuff like that. Those have to be
Right.
really good. No, I really liked your contour lines and everything, and I'm totally not taking that away from the cheekbone comment that the Love Shack is making. I'm totally stealing it from that.
That's exactly right. Okay, and actually, I can really dig on that reference because I am an artist. I don't show my artwork to a lot of people because it's been 4 years since I've done any, and I've just started really getting back into it, and I'm really nervous about it because, like anything, it's a skill that you have to keep up with, and I haven't kept up with it. So I just with any kind of creative endeavor, you always put a little bit of your heart and soul into it. So when people, if people reject it, you feel like they're rejecting you. And that may not be the truth. They may not be rejecting you, but that's how it feels, whether it's artwork, whether it's music, whether it's whatever. Um, but if I put my artwork out there and somebody says to me, hey, I think this is good, but XYZ, and they're telling the truth, I can usually tell when they're coming from a genuine soul to when they're just being an ass. You know what I mean? And if they're coming from a genuine place and they're being real about it, and I can tell that, then I can accept that. And I can be like, okay, they're being real with me because they care. So that is the key. You always have to have a grain of truth to what you're saying. Because if you don't, genuine people will be able to read right through that. And if they can tell you're BSing them, you've lost them. But if they can tell you're being genuine and you mean it, then you will have gained something. Does that make sense?
I think you just described one of the top issues on the entire internet of stuff and things right there. Because it's like, all right, you do something. If somebody says mean things, you take it as a personal attack, even though even if they just happen to be criticizing the artwork
No, no,
very
no, no,
often,
no, no,
not
no,
all
no,
the
no.
time. No. But what I'm saying is the internet
Okay.
mucks it up, and that it's harder to tell via I don't know 140 characters in text versus somebody that's right next to you that you're speaking with one on one. You can see different social cues, maybe even their eyes or something like that.
It depends. Now,
Yeah,
there's mean and then there's truthful. Those are two different things. And people that are savvy enough, in memes, I have been through some stuff in my life. Believe me, I can tell when somebody's being honest and when somebody's just being a jerk. Okay. And maybe that's what somebody needs to come at it with. They need to have that experience. Okay. But I can tell the difference between somebody who's just being a jerk and somebody who is saying, hey, I like this, but I'm going to give you information that's just going to elevate it to be even better. And there's a difference. And I can tell that difference. And the people that are just being a jerk, I just give them a middle finger and I move on. I don't have time for that anymore. It used to really destroy me. And I used to worry about it and be like, oh my God, they don't like my stuff. Now I'm just like, you don't like me, whatever, move on. I don't have time for you. But those that are like, look, I care enough about you to tell you the truth. And I care enough about you to tell you what I genuinely think to get you to elevate yourself and be better. Those are the people and those are the opinions that I'm interested in because I know they care and I know they have something valuable for me to say.
Yeah. And
Does
this
that
is the
make
thing to
sense?
keep in reference. No, absolutely. And happy
Yeah,
what you're saying right there, my dude. It's like, well, yeah, SJWs are people too. Personally, I prefer being a warrior of social justice because
I agree.
some folks kind of become kind of silly justice wars. And here's the crazy thing. Here's the crazy thing. When you've been around the internet long enough, you start
Yeah.
hearing these things. I remember even several years ago, Mr. V Roll, currently VTV, or what is a Romanian VTV. He told me, he's like,
Hmm.
I went undercover into some of these SJW groups and everything. And some folks there were just like, we just put random ideas out there. We'd start throwing the proverbial shit against the wall to see what sticks. I'm like, wait a second.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is there's some folks just trolling to see if they can kind of get some stuff out there in the world and see it actually come into being? Nobody would
Mhm.
ever do that on the internet.
Right.
Maybe with memes or Ultra Instinct Shaggy or anything. It's like people just want to see things come into existence. They want to see that they actually have an effect on the world. Let's see you
Yeah.
there, Mad Metal Man. Welcome, my gifted voiced brother from another mother as well. And I
It's a
just love
good
this
point.
comment here, as well as from the Love Shack. I just want to see Lady Arrow and Avalon holding a broadsword and kicking ass. I totally agree with that as well. That is such a good
Yeah.
comment. That
I love
where are
Red
we?
Sonja, y'all. She's like a spirit animal. Come on.
We get squirrel level 3 for this.
Open Gangnam Style. Gangnam Style. Open Gangnam Style.
I totally don't identify with the dog from Up. Okay, I do. I just need a voice changer. It's I like my shinies as well. I
I'd
like
love a
my shinies.
broadsword. I don't lie.
But
I would
what
have
it,
one.
well, this is also the thing, Mr. Mad Metal Man. It's I also try to. We were just talking about that a little bit earlier. It's like I'm a dick. It's my middle name. Like literally, it is my middle name. I'm a dick. So I don't really
Okay.
have a choice in this matter. But I feel like people can kind of have a choice. That's why it's like you have the D-bad principle. What is the D-bad principle? It's like, well, don't be a dick. Or at least don't go out of your way to be a dick. We're always going to screw up. That's why we should be
Yeah.
quick to say we're sorry. We should also be quick to accept an apology because you never know when that thing your friend, your family member,
I
that person
agree.
you cared about did that seems so huge that you'd never be able to forget it will depart from you.
Okay. You know, it's really interesting. Memes, you want me to tell you about my Thanksgiving real quick?
Oh.
Okay. Oh my God. I'm in the South and we tend to have big families. And for some reason, this year, there was like 19 relatives there that I haven't seen in like 10 years. I mean, it's been a long time. And my husband passed away 2 years ago, which I'm fine now. I've grieved him. I've moved on. I'm living a full life. Okay. In whatever that capacity is. Well, because I haven't seen them in so long, what do they want to talk about? How was the memorial? How are you doing? Blah blah
Right.
blah. How do you feel with him not being there? They want to talk about all the things that I don't really want to talk about because I've moved on. I've dealt with them. They weren't here when I had to struggle through that. So I had one of two choices. I could either be a dick to them and say, look, forget it. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to deal with this. But I got some good advice from someone. And I said, hey, you want to talk about this subject over here instead? And I redirected the subject to where they would have to go. If they wanted to connect with me, they had to go where I took them. They could either step back and say, well, I don't want to go where she wants to go. Or they could say, hey, I'm going where she is and she's taking me here. So I had that choice. I could either, wallow and deal with their assault and deal with things I didn't want to deal with, or I could say, you know what, I'm taking charge of this and I'm going to redirect y'all over here. And if you want to go with me, if you really want to connect with me, you'll go where I'm taking you. And it worked.
Right.
So sometimes that's what it's about. Sometimes we have to take charge and we have to
Right.
say, this is where you have me, but this is where I am. So if
Right.
you really want to connect with me, you need to come over here where I'm at. And then we can connect, because if you stay over here, I don't want anything to do with that. And that's with any aspect in life.
I
You know what
see you
mean?
there, kitty bear. No, I see it. I actually have some experience. This is one of the reasons why I don't always necessarily. Very often, I'll just do very short things where I'll rant at the camera for like 5-10 minutes and then go off, because within sales, because I spent upwards of a decade in corporate sales and stuff like that. They teach you that one of those things that they call it is dead earring. So like, let's say somebody raises an objection, they're like, oh, blah blah blah. It's like, all right, is that really meaningful, or is that person just kind of saying that? So you just kind of say, yeah, and then you just completely move on. So you're controlling the conversation as well. I don't like overly having to do that. Even though I do it all the time, it's one of those things
Yeah.
where it's like I try to use like facts, logic, this, that, to actually have to utilize something like charisma points, or being able to like be more forceful or something. Or as Mad Mailman is saying, the golden throated guru of greatness, or something like that. Or it's like, oh my god, Muse of Destruction is able to speak in perfect Centauri accent. Pleasant surprise. Just something. So for some reason, I'm able to do the Centauri, or at least Londo and Zathros. Yes, Zathros, used to being beast of burden. Zathros actually may learn to like very difficult life, probably very painful death, but Zathros do.
Yeah.
Yes. I would totally play Zathros on the new Babylon 5 or some iteration of that, because he's also a furry. Furries are people, too.
Londo's a furry?
No, Zathros.
Oh, Zathras. Yes, Zathras is definitely a furry. Do you see all those gorgeous tails he has decorating?
I mean, I was not spending an inordinate amount of time looking at his different tails upon him as well. I mean, I don't know. That's not where my eyes and stuff were going, but hey, to each their own. Who am I to judge? I'm just a half Jewish dragon kid on this internet of stuff and things.
I'm
What
a
do I
shopper.
know?
I'm a fashionista. I notice those kind of things.
All right, I actually need to go for just a moment. Can you entertain the crowd?
Sure.
All right, I will be
Go
your
ahead. Hey, y'all. It's good to see you at Barwin Avalon. If you don't know me, I'm kind of everywhere. So it's good to see y'all. I'm drinking some wine and I'm having a good night. But yes, how was y'all's Thanksgiving? Put a 1 in the chat if it was great, a 2 in the chat if it was eh. Mine was a eh. Like I was just saying. It was okay. But I will say this. I have discovered things I am thankful for. Last year, Thanksgiving sucked. I mean, big time. It sucked. It was horrible. But this year, with the exception of a few things, it wasn't so bad. It was okay. I do have some things I was thankful for. And you know what I've discovered throughout the years? Sometimes we don't need to wait for Thanksgiving to say what we're thankful for. I think we need to do that all the time. Not to where it becomes a habit, and not to where it's like routine. Oh God, I've got to say what I'm thankful for, or I got to figure something out. But just to kind of keep us on track. Because sometimes we can have things in front of us right there and us not know it until we look out and we see it and we be like, okay, I see this, I appreciate it, I recognize it, and I'm thankful for it. I don't know. What do y'all think? Am I just crazy, or is that not a good way to be? I mean, it's been a long couple of years for me. I know some of y'all don't know me, I lost my husband in February 2021. I'm okay. I've grieved him. I'm doing good. But I don't know. It's made me realize two things. One, we need to be thankful for the things that we have when we have it. And two, we need to not be afraid to go for the things that we want when we want it, because life is short. And sometimes we don't realize that. Sometimes we wait and we think, oh, well, this thing will be here forever, whatever it is, whether it's a job, whether it's a person, whether it's, whatever situation you're in, you think, well, it'll always be there. Well, guess what, y'all? It won't. Life doesn't work that way. Sometimes it'll be taken like that before you know it. So, my advice to you, since Memes is off doing his thing, my advice to you is if you see something you want, again, whether it's a job, whether it's a situation you've been waiting for, whether it's a person that you're interested in, and y'all gotta excuse me, I have cats, so yeah, I have cat here. Whether it's a person that you've been wanting to talk to for years, who's always been there, but you've never had the courage to do it, whatever, do it. I mean, the worst that's going to happen is that either you're not going to get the job, or the person is not going to go for you, or whatever. So what? So you move on. You find something else. God, y'all. I have a fireplace. Y'all see my fireplace? It's back here. It's real, but some brainiac stuffed up the chimneys so they don't work. I have to do I do candles, sometimes the fake ones, but I'm a romantic. It gives the effect. But anyway, my point is this. Go for the things you want. If it doesn't work out, fine. It doesn't work out. Don't get discouraged. Go for something else. Shift your focus. But that's what I've learned. Life is too damn short, y'all. So go for what you want. Go for it. Do it. Make it happen. Because it's not going to happen on its own. And it's not going to happen while you sit there wondering and wishing for it to happen.
A wise man once said,
Hey, Memes.
wish in one hand and do something else in the other. I do not necessarily recall. Okay, I totally recall what he said. I'm not going to say it here because I try to limit my profanity a little bit. Well, this is one of the things. It's like, all right, I try to communicate with folks typically on about the same wavelength, whether it's IRL, whether it's on the internet, whatever thing. It's like, if I'm doing more of a professional setting, I tend to at least make an attempt to curse less. Why do I say this? Because, well, whom do we curse? We curse those we love and those we hate. It can sometimes be difficult to differentiate which ones those are, and I feel that causes a lot of conflict because I've seen folks, and I'll see two different folks. Like, I know each of these individuals separately, and all of a sudden I see them come across each other, especially on the internet, especially if it's on text. They don't know each other. I know one person likes to banter well. They may use a little bit of profanity. That other person, not knowing them, may not take that quite kindly. And then they may go back with a little bit more viciousness. The other person's like, well, why are you being vicious to me? So they become more vicious. And then, God, I need to like actually make a list of the clips. I need a little Taz things where it's like, just Taz spinning around.
Oh no, Memes, I'm so convicted because I
Now,
have such a bloody mouth.
okay, I stand corrected from the other night. I actually know several cannibals on the internet. I know several fine young cannibals. Now, Mad Metal Man, I cannot condone the eating of other human beings.
No.
I understand there's a case going on in Germany or Austria right now where consent was given. Consent matters. I cannot condone the eating of other human beings, even though I've probably eaten enough dead skin myself. Does that count? I don't know. I apologize. Everybody you see dinner right now is like, oh God, where's my safe space?
낮에는 따사로운 인간적인 여자 커피 한 잔에 여유를 아는 품격 있는 여자
I apologize.
Memes, I won't lie. Look, okay, I have my God, I'm ashamed to admit it. I have a potty mouth. I do. And
Noticed.
no, I'm so sorry. But I try when I come on people's streams who don't use that language, I try to conform.
Try to get a lay for the land.
I do. I try to conform to the way they talk because it's their stream, it's their channel. And I will say one thing, no matter what, I'm a big respecter of whatever anybody lays out for their channel. Whoever comes on as a guest, they need to respect them and they need to try and emulate that. So if I mess up once in a while, I'm really sorry. I really am. But
I too have attempted to learn this. This is why now I tend to at least ask before I appear shirtless. Because apparently that gets some folks all a particular
oh my
type
gosh,
of
no,
way.
I gotta admit,
I apparently I ruined some people's internet careers and stuff because of
so
it. And
glad
I'm just like, it
Tim,
was
though.
unintentional.
No.
I was just memeing my friends. And apparently you can meme things into reality, as we've
No,
seen
I've
with
seen you
Ultra
shirtless,
Shaggy.
and I'm really, really glad Tim said no because I don't know if I could have concentrated if you come on that Harry Potter stream shirtless.
Well,
You're looking really good. So
well,
it
no,
would
I
have.
appreciate it, but well, it's also one of those things. It's like you want to be respectful to folks, and to be fair, though I stand for shirtless equality and have stood against the shirtriarchy, I also understand. No, well, there also is a history of no shirt, no shoes, no service. I sit back and I'm
Right.
like, okay,
Yeah.
is that a reasonable regulation? Okay, I can understand that. Certain cleanliness and stuff like that. Maybe you want to have something on the soles of your feet so you're not tracking around, whatever. Or you're still tracking around, but you don't. Basically, okay, simple things. So it's like, all right, a simple piece of clothing or an accessory that's not hard to come by. I can understand that as long as it's appropriate context.
Yeah.
If you're telling me to wear a heavy coat and an 80-degree beach, that doesn't
Right.
really seem to make sense to me. Whereas it's like, okay, depending on what's
Mhm.
going on, it's like, okay, that seems reasonable. And the thing is, you can also try to treat people like adults. And I really dislike it when folks go around. It's like, oh, we're
Yeah.
going to treat people like children. Do this. Why? Because I said so. Oh, I hate that. That bothers me so much. And I
Yeah.
feel it's counterproductive because, at least for me, I grew up within the generation in the 90s of F you, I won't do what you tell me. That meme still resonates with me. Why am I going to do what you're telling me? Especially if you're being a dick. Now, if you ask nicely, again, not everyone's always going to listen to what you say, but once you acknowledge that statistics are a thing, and not everyone's going to necessarily do that, once you realize that most folks, in my opinion, are good
Mhm.
people, and good people can figure these things out, just explain it to somebody. This was something that was big with Professor Dick Feynman. I did a video on this, in that during World War II, when they were doing the Manhattan Project, at one
Mhm.
point at the Oakdale plant, they were actually producing the fuel to utilize in the bombs. And at that point, it's like Professor Feynman was there, and it's like, all right, well, I need to explain to these people like how neutrons and stuff work. So like the entire plant will explode. They're like, well, we don't know. Just tell them how to make it safe. He's like, no, no,
Uh-huh.
no. I cannot just tell people to do this, give them a bunch of arbitrary things that they don't know why. I need to explain to them how it works so they know that the work they're doing is important and why they need to be able to do it. And in my opinion, it is impossible for Los Alamos to guarantee the safety of the Oak Ridge facility unless they're fully informed. Basically, he was stealing a line from Mr. Oppenheimer that he told them to say in case they had any objections to anything. And it's like, he totally used that line, and they came back. It's like, all right, within 5 minutes,
Yeah.
one of the colonels or something there was like, all right, let them know. So he informed them all, and then history went down that line. So, I mean, I tend to think that's something a number of our leaders could probably take a little bit of
Oh, yeah.
a page out of the playbook, if you would, just because it's like, do this, don't do that. And especially if you contradict yourself. Oh my God, now you've lost all trust at that point. It's like, why would you believe anything that comes out of your mouth if you lie to people? That bothers me.
Okay, you've pegged it. Okay, learn from the leaders before. People don't want to do that now. They all want to have their own unique vision. They all want to have their own unique point of view. That nobody wants to learn from anyone anymore. And it's like, why do you think we have history? Why do you think we have people that have gone before us that have been through this BS? Whether it's modern times or not, with the exception of technology, people are people. You know, we all have the same emotions. We all have been through the same thing. We've all struggled with the same thing. But people don't want to do that. They don't want to look at people that have come before them and say, hey, I want to learn from them. You know, I see the path that they went down. And I want to take that information and I want to plug it into my own life. No, everyone is about, they're so obsessed with being unique and being the first that they don't realize that they're not. The unique and the first has already gone before them. And, you know, I see that in my own life with people I know. And it's like, look, if you would just take a damn chill pill and you would realize, yes, of course you're special. Everybody's special. Everybody is unique in their own way. But there are some things that we've gone through that isn't necessarily unique. And maybe you could learn something by people that have been there before that, whether it's through history, whether it's through experience. But they don't want to do that now. So I don't know. It's a weird time that we're in. It's a really bizarre time.
I think it's also because we're kind of hyper conscious about it, and part of what you just said there, I think actually might help explain the quote unquote hard problem of consciousness. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
all right, well, my general thought initially is, well, what is consciousness? My opinion is the will to persist. What you were describing there is what we think of as conscious. I
Yeah.
think it's like the ability to identify the past
Yeah.
or be able to conceptualize it. That there was a
Yeah.
past and something has happened, and this has led us to where we are today.
You know, we were talking about something really interesting on T-shirt stream, and we were talking about the transfer of consciousness. And it's like,
Ooh,
look,
yeah.
if you have you, okay, and you transfer your consciousness into somebody else or another shell, if you will, is that person you or is that person unique? And my point was that they're unique because just because they're you and they have all your memories and they have all your personality and they have all that, once they're downloaded, they are a free agent and they are free to make their own choices. And they may not make the same choices that you make. So once they do that, they become their own individual. So we are all unique. We are all individuals.
And we're
we
all
just
connected.
and we are all connected. And we have to figure out how to be unique and stay individual and stay connected. Because let's face it, we need each other. You know, we're not islands. We need each other.
I mean, it would be a pretty lonely island. And
Yeah,
as a wise individual once said, we're in this together and we're together forever. Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
Hello, Zax, and no. Love Shack, I apologize. I had to go and drugs are bad. We'll say that right there.
낮에는 따사로운 인간적인 여자 커피 한 잔에 여유를 아는 품격 있는 여자
This show is brought to you by Log. Come on and get your log. Everyone needs a log. Come on and get your log. Everyone needs a log. Log from Blammo. These things happen.
Oh, stop.
Again, brain. It's I need to check to see what the limit to like the amount of uploads and stuff, because I could literally go everywhere. I could upload during this thing. This is why I also like more people as well, because the more people you have, it's like, oh, I don't need to necessarily do all the talking. That's why it's like, all right, I need to go purchase something.
Oh, you know I don't have a problem with talking.
I have
no problem with
that
talking.
was one of those things. I'm like, can I put Arrow in charge? I'm like, all right, she's going to say something very profound for at least 5 minutes. I'm totally good.
I'm okay
That's
with
why
that.
it's, well, and this is one of those things, because you ever notice, and this ain't throwing hate at anybody, but I really think a stream is really kind of like a D&D party. or maybe like a World of Warcraft group, or insert whatever role playing or literally any game you want. You want the proper chemistry. Different
Yes.
people have different sets of talents, different sets of skills. Because you ever see some folks,
agree.
it's like, all right, these people, you got this person, they're very knowledgeable in this. You get this other person, they're very knowledgeable in that. They'll get on a stream together. They might have like 3 dozen words back and forth, and then they're not talking about anything because
Yeah.
you're missing that particular person that maybe knows each of those people and happens to know some of the things that they know, that can just speak a couple of words. And all of a sudden, that person just really opens up. They'll go on for 5 or 10 minutes about this,
Mhm.
and then that other person gets woven in as well. So it's like you want that actual cohesion there. So it's kind of like
Yes.
if you are going through any type of fantasy adventure, it's like you typically want to have a tank, somebody that can absorb a lot of damage as well. You also then
Right.
want to have a healer to
Right.
make sure your group ain't going to get wiped out from taking too much damage. And then you want like some form of a crowd control, and then
And
different
you need
forms
that
of damage.
DPS.
Well, exactly. You got a DPS.
Yeah.
Well, some of my OG stuff. One of my OG WoW characters was a mage. I
Yeah.
loved Lothar back in like vanilla Nax and everything. It's like I would go the AP route. So as long as my aggro was reduced from like the little spore effect and
Mhm.
everything, I could just roll those firebolts and everything. I on average, as long as I didn't get resisted more than once, I tended to be top DPS for that fight. I'm just
I
saying.
love it. You're such
I'm
a
just
gaming
saying.
nerd.
Hey.
I love it.
I server first level 80 Death Knight for the win. Just saying. Oh god, I see. Here's the thing. At one point in history, I'm like, I got this thing. It's like, what am I gonna do? Go around bragging now as a server first level 80 Death Knight? Apparently now that means something. It's not just nerd stuff. It's like, whoa, you actually did this, man. Because I guess being a professional gamer
Yeah.
is a thing. I still remember
Yes, very
we
much a
frapsed like
thing.
our first. Oh, this is how old I am. We frapsed our first Kel'Thuzad Zud kill back in the day and everything, and it's like, all right, I totally remember that and everything. I didn't want to do it because I'm like, my internet is so crappy, my computer will lag out. I don't want to die. I don't want to do anything to take away from my actual
Yeah.
contribution to the raid or anything. What, for a little bit of glory? Now it's like, wait a second, people stream that stuff and they get money.
Yeah.
I was born in the wrong generation, apparently. In this example.
You and me both.
It's okay, but I have been ignoring the chat, and this is a very bad thing for those people that want engagement. Oh. And Arwen Avalon. Oh, you look great. You two memes. But mostly Arwen. I can confirm that. It's all right. Oh, well, hey,
Thank
Kitty
you.
Bear,
Thank you.
CDB. Well, try living with 3 personalities in your head. This
Mhm.
explains a lot. Because part of me was always wondering, all right, you got a Kitty Bear, and you got some Holland or something in there. I apologize for my misnationing of you if I'm getting that wrong. But it's like, I feel like we all have different. I had hair in my mouth. I really need to get a
Welcome to my
haircut.
life. I normally get it in my eyes.
I feel like I need one of those hair. Literally, this is one of the reasons why I wear sunglasses. It helps. I use it as like a hair thingy at work. I just like put it up there and everything, or use some like headphones or something. Well, no headphones anymore. It's too dangerous. But
I get it.
all I know is I think a lot of us go through this, and this is one of the reasons why maybe technically I consider myself a bleeding heart liberal, more of a traditional lefty, if you would, because I sit back, I'm like, all right, I realize how effed up I am, or maybe I don't even realize it. I'm just like, all right, I'm going through this. I
Okay.
try to be conscious. It's like I meet a lot of other people, and very often, if you're willing to go to that hard place, if you're willing to share something that maybe you're not always comfortable with just sharing out on just this regular and frequent basis, it's like very often, the crazy thing is, I'll get a person say, I do the same thing. It's like, oh, I put those little like ho ho things in the freezer to get them cold, and then I eat them and everything. I'm like, really? You do that and stuff with Swiss rolls? I totally do that too. I love to get dude, the Charleston chews back in the day. You threw that in like the freezer for freaking like 10, 15 minutes. It would harden up, so you bite into it and it shatters, and then it turns into the goo and everything. You're like, oh my god, it's so good.
They are. Oh my God. I do that with those except for Twinkies. Now, Twinkies, y'all.
Twinkies can get you well because they get very, very tacky and feels like dentist
Twinkies.
work.
Okay, what you have to do
Oh, Twinkies, sorry.
is you have to dunk Twinkies in milk. And what the sponge cake does is it soaks up all that milk It gets nice and soft, and then you bite into it, and you feel that cream filling. That's the way to eat Twinkies, y'all. Not that nasty dry stuff. Dunk it in milk. It will change your world. Trust me. It's so good. I had somebody actually try it. They were talking about chocolate Twinkies, and they were talking about how dry they were and how gross. And I'm like, you take that Twinkie and you dunk it in milk until it gets soft. And then you bite into it, and that sponge cake is nice and soft, and you got that cream filling. That's how you eat a Twinkie. And they did it. They dunked it, and they would bite it, and they dunked it, and they bite it, and they dunked it, and they bite it. Let me tell y'all, that's how you eat a Twinkie. And I found at my local grocer, it's what was it? A chocolate Twinkie with mint filling. I've never seen a chocolate Twinkie with mint filling. I didn't get it though, because I'm trying to lose weight. I've got about 15 more pounds to lose. I've lost 68, so I'm in a plateau, but I'm trying to get there. It's taking me a while. I know drinking wine doesn't help, but who cares? But yeah, I don't need to add Twinkies on top of that. But I love me some Twinkies. So if you ever want to eat a Twinkie, that's how you do it. You dunk it in milk until it gets nice and soft, and then you bite it off, and then you do it again and again and again. And I guarantee, and they tried it. They were like, oh, I hate Twinkies. Bleh, Twinkies are so gross. And I said, no, you need to do it this way. And they tried it, and they told me they liked it. They were like, you know what? I can eat Twinkies now because I get to dunk them in milk. So that's my gift to y'all. Twinkies in milk. If that's all I have to offer the world, I guess I'm good. But somebody liked it, so.
I'm totally not going to clip that.
Hey, memes. I mean,
that's just a blatant lie because
No one cared who I was till I put on the mask.
I had it. It was available. It was here. I just
dunking
figured
Twinkies in milk? Have you ever tried it? Maybe it's a
I
Southern thing.
have dunked Oreos, so it is
Oh my
not
God, I
quite
do
the
that
sponge
too.
cake.
That's where I started it. Oreos.
Well, here's the. I live in Massachusetts. I'm up here in New England. We got Dunkin' Donuts.
Okay.
America runs on Dunkins. I'm just saying, this is the thing. It's like literally, it's in the name. It's like, to be fair, I was never really a big
Dunkin'
fan of
Donuts.
Dunkin' Donuts. That's more
Yes.
the donut theory of physics that Yvette keeps telling me about, that I need to have a chat with her about. Basically, you have your Taurus and everything. See, for me, I got a bit more of a sweeter tooth. I like my jellies and vanilla creams. And at one point, up at like some junction point in Vermont, they had a raspberry freaking. Oh, it was a raspberry vanilla cream donut, and it was so loaded up. Oh my God, whoever filled that donut, thank you so much. It was one of the greatest things I ever put in my mouth. It was so delicious. But I usually guzzle down milk with it.
When did you start dunking Oreos in milk?
When I
Do you?
started
Okay.
probably eating Oreos.
Wait.
Maybe
No, I
some
got a
Oreos
question for you. When you dunk them in milk, how far do you dunk them in milk? How long do
halfway.
you leave them? That's important.
No, just a quick dip. Because I found it
You don't
takes
let
up
them
the
get all
milk fairly
soft?
quickly. I don't want it to get all soft. I still want a little bit of
No.
firmness when I bite into it.
But you know what? If you sit them in there for a little bit,
Yeah, then they just fall apart to the bottom.
no,
You can drink at the end. That's
that's
pretty
too
good. You can
long.
slurp at the
Hang
end.
on. Time out. That's too long. You got to dunk them in enough to where they get soft, but the edges are still hard. Oh my God. It's so good. I swear to God. That is the best way to eat an Oreo, where it's just soft around the inside, but it's still hard around the edges. I'm not kidding. It'll blow your mind.
I don't think that happens. That is
It
not been my
does. I can do
experience.
it. I can do it. I've done it.
I think we're gonna need a measurement process here. No, because that doesn't topologically make sense to me. Because the milk's gonna go to the outside of it first,
I don't
unless you're
mean
like
it's, like,
dropping the milk on, like
hard.
drop blip blip blip.
I don't mean it's hard like a regular Oreo, but there's still just enough. Okay, you have to leave it in just enough to where it's soft, but it's not so soft that it falls apart. It's a science. It's the same thing with the Twinkie. It's a science because God, this sounds so weird. I know it does, but the milk will gather in there. No, my God, don't
You're on a
large
roll.
nose me.
Continue.
Okay, y'all, I'm gonna teach you how to dunk an Oreo and a Twinkie. Okay, you dunk it just enough to where it just gets soft enough to where you can kind of how do I say it? When you bite in the Oreo, you can like flip it off with your tongue, but it's not so soft that it falls apart and dunks in the milk. And same thing with the Twinkie. You just have to try it. You just have to, it's trial and error. You have to work with it. But my God, once you've gone there, you will never look at an Oreo or a Twinkie the same way again. Trust me. Okay.
It's the scientific method.
It's
It's
true.
okay. It's okay.
I can't eat them any other way now. I have to dunk them. They have to get.
I do not necessitate the dunking of, but I prefer to have milk with my Oreos. And what I tend to do is I try to savor it. I try to do the whole thing from like the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, not Willy Wonka, not starring the showman, whoever's playing him, whether it's
Charlie and I get it. There's
yes,
a
no,
difference.
because Charlie's family, they were not of means. They basically were living in poverty. But once a year, when he would get that chocolate bar, he would just kind of nibble the edge and he would just savor that chocolate. So I kind of try to do that because I also have I'm one of those people that I kind of feel like Kirby at sometimes, whereas when I start eating, I just go and like things disappear.
But you have to have discipline. You have to have that milk. You have to have that Oreo or that Twinkie, whatever your flavor is. Okay. Some people like Twinkies, some people like Oreos. And then you dunk it for just long enough until it gets soft, but it's not so soft it falls apart.
According to Mad Metal Man, that's 3/4 of the Oreo for 3 to 5 seconds.
You know what I'm talking about.
I think
It makes it, and then you just lay it on your tongue, and you just kind of.
Okay, I need to resurrect the series because I did one episode of Food Wars, and this is the perfect thing. But no, here's the thing. Why can we not write academic papers about the best way to eat the things that we love? With all the chaos out there and people doing this and studying this and making presentations and arguments for this, why don't we have a little bit of like literally wholesome fun? Now, I personally prefer 1%, but that's my personal preference. But
if people knew how to properly suck on an Oreo, they might be happier. I don't know. I mean, it just might be that way. They may be like, oh, okay, you're fighting over here. You're fussing over here. Well, guess what? I got my Oreo. I'm happy. I don't know.
And you have a request here. Now, Love Shack, here's the thing. I'm not gonna lie. I don't got a problem at all with corsets. Mrs. Memes had a corset. She may or may not have had like the sexy French maid thing. I'm not gonna say I totally still have pictures. I don't know. Hey, these are the little things in life. Now, we cannot ask too much of Arwen. Now, if you wanted to do that, and maybe she wanted to share either a link to StreamYards or some form of you being able to set up a fund for that, maybe an Amazon wish list, if you would, something like that. Now, if you wanted to do that, I would not argue with that.
I have a
Just
corset.
say,
Thank you.
and Nell forgives you for not being Piper, but she looks, I don't know. See, all I know is now Piper's hair will change, so she kind of has the short thing for like the cosplay and everything. But I do like the red hair, and I'm not gonna say that I watched it. Okay. All I'm saying is maybe Freud was right on some things because I remember learning that stuff back in the day. I'm like, oh, I'm totally disgusted, and that's like, now is that disgust coming from the fact that I don't want to believe this or it's not true? And the more I think, and the more I explore my mind, I'm like, I can make the connections here. I didn't want to accept it before, and I can see why a lot of folks totally throw. And again, there could be other reasons. You can better explain things. I think with more modern technology and probably microtubules. I'm pretty sure microtubules, things that run through all our cells and everything, that I'm to have a very certain, almost crystalline-like structure to my
Mhm.
recollection. If music is magic and we're all just a bunch of wavy particles, I
Oh
think this
God,
might
yes.
make sense.
Music is magic, and I think we are wavy particles. Oh my God. There's so many times when I've just been in a mood and I put certain music on and it has totally transformed me. So I do think music is magic. I think it's a form of that. I think it can be if we let it. Some people may be so set in their ways, they're like, nope. But I uses it in magic. You know? It's a southern thing.
That was a comment as I was totally muted there from about a minute or so. This is also the other thing about the internet. Temporally, when somebody says something, it's like, well, what are they commenting on? I'm sitting there, I'm like, I'm writing a
Mhm.
comment, and then something might be said, and by the time it's posted, that same comment, if you took it with what was just said rather than what happened about 20 or 30 seconds ago, could be much more offensive as well. And it's like, well, do I still do this as well? Or what if I'm listening? What if I'm like catching up? I'm still 5 minutes behind. People are laughing and everything. So like I do like a big LOL, all capital letters. But
Mhm.
the actual point it came at, somebody comes up, it's like, I recently lost someone I cared about or something, and then it's like, wow, I look like the biggest a-hole in the world. And
Well,
the people might not know.
timing
That's why.
is everything.
Oh,
And I
okay,
won't lie,
okay.
y'all. I have a hard time with compliments. I admit I do. I mean, I don't get me wrong. I'm a woman.
There you go.
I enjoy, Dega, hey, honey.
Welcome, my friend.
I enjoy getting them like any other woman, but I'm not used to them. So they're it's the fan.
Is that your
They're
safe space? Is that
yes.
okay? So the fans are essentially your.
Yeah, my fan is my safe space. I told the guys today. I said I feel naked without it. If I don't have it and I can't hide my
What?
face if I need to, I just don't know what to do.
So rather than picturing the audience naked, you're picturing yourself naked.
No, that's not what I meant.
Oh, I'm not saying that's what
I
I'm
mean,
doing, but
낮에는 따사로운 인간적인 여자 커피 한 잔에 여유를 아는 품격 있는 여자
I apologize for my misogyny.
it's quite all right.
I don't want to
No.
apologize, but I'm sorry.
It's fine. Go ahead. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
No. I want you to continue on because I already got more than enough like material for like multiple videos. So for just even the Twinkies and the Oreos and everything, I feel like that's gonna get a lot of traction. Just because it's not like in a number of my videos there may be some double ententes, if you would. It's not like
Okay,
this
I
is
mean this completely innuendo free. Have you never dunked a Twinkie that way? Have you never dunked an Oreo? Until you
I've
can
dunked
just
the Oreos.
lick it off
I just
with
feel
your
like that's
tongue?
bringing in too much milk at that time. I like to regulate my milk intake.
But you
See,
don't
for
have to drink it. You don't have to drink it. You just dunk it until it softens. Just enough to where you put the Oreo in your mouth, you can just lick that off with your tongue. That's all the milk you need. You don't need any more
I
milk
don't want to
than that.
lick it. I want to bite it.
Then it's not for you.
Okay. We've
But
identified
others
a
of us
point of difference of
like to
opinion
suck
here.
on
That's
it. I
okay.
don't
I
know
mean,
how
if
else
you
to
want
put
to
it.
suck on it, you can totally feel free to suck on it as much as you want. See, for me, I just want to slowly nibble on it and then just
Okay.
kind of like have it work its way into my mouth and then just guzzle down everything
I
else I
like
need.
it when it's soft and it's pliable and I can feel I can't tell the difference between the cream and the cookie. And it sounds worse than it is, but I promise it's just a cookie. That's all it is, just a cookie. And you just I don't know. I different strokes, I guess. If you want
That's
to
what the
bite
lady
that hard
said.
cookie, you go right ahead. You bite that hard cookie. But I like mine a little more pliable.
What's
Same with
going
the
on,
Twinkie.
Bone? We're having an excellent time. You came at a good moment. We're discussing the finer points of eating different confectionery solids. typically Oreos and Twinkies, and dunking them in milk as
I know
well
this
and
probably is
retaining it. Now, I apologize to our more lactose intolerant friends. You can use whatever type of milk you want, whether
you
that's
can
soy,
yes.
almond,
Yes.
coconut, or even I've come to learn that even some water with a little bit of flavoring. Because if I happen to be out of milk, I'm like, let me put it this way. I had a little bit of leftover pie the other day. I almost achieved too much
Ooh.
pie. But I remember having that conversation with Miss Piper where she had consumed too much pie. And I avoided, so
Really?
I only ate like I had my slice of apple pie on Thanksgiving, and then I had a little bit of the chocolate. But I saved the chocolate for last night. So as I was kind of like putting it in, I'm like, oh, well, I don't really have any milk, but I'm like, let me use this water or anything. Or maybe I had some milk, but I was saving it for PB&J. So I'm like, all right, let me slowly savor this, slowly
Whatever
bite in and
works.
drink. We build because it helps move the chocolate
Yeah.
around and everything. And that works for sweet things. You don't necessarily want to do that with spicy things because we
Mm-mm.
may or may not have spiked a burger back in the day with a whole bunch of Mad Dog Inferno sauce. It used to be the world's hottest sauce. It
No.
was like 1 million scallops per drop or something. And my friend put it back, or okay, different story. We gave some of my friend this hot sauce, and we were filming him on camera, and it's like, oh my god, that's so hot. It's like, here, my friend goes up to him, he's like, drink this, and he
No.
drinks it. He's like, you know that makes it worse because it was just water, just moved it all around. He's like, you tell me now. Oh my god, we're so.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to hell.
Look, my dunking technique only works for sweets. Oreos, anything hard except or wait. Okay. Any hard cookie or anything with sponge cake, which or not Oreo. What the heck? What is it? Twinkie.
Twinkie.
Okay,
I
Twinkie.
think that's the melty level is the best. I think Mad
Yeah.
Man agrees with you on that point. Okay.
Yeah. Yes. I agree. Soft, semi-soft, melty level. Whew. Yeah. That's the bomb, y'all. That's where it's at least for me. Now, other people, like I said, they may like it crunchier, they may like it harder, whatever. But, Oreo and Twinkie. Now, if you try and do it with like a ho-ho or a ding dong, you may have because that's got the hard chocolate shell and it's not really the same thing. It's got to be a sponge cake or it's got to be that cookie. I know what are they? The Keebler chocolate chip cookies. They were pretty good
Oh.
like that.
See, okay,
Just get them
I will
soft
give you
enough.
that. No, because of the
Yeah.
chip-based lattice there. And I'm going to describe it
Mhm.
as a lattice in physics terms. In that, yes, you have the cookie, which actually it does have a nice crispness to it. It does
Yes.
retain its form for a short period of time, and I feel like the chips also help hold it together. So I will dunk those cookies. I will give
Yes.
you that. See, like that's around the transition state. That's like the state of cookie where it's like, all right, it's not too hard, it's not too soft.
Not
It
too
can retain
soft.
that milkiness in there to the point where I can shove it in my mouth and enjoy.
So if you're willing to do that with a chocolate chip cookie, why aren't you willing to transcend that to the Oreo?
It just in my experience, they get too soggy too quick. I still
Because
do
you're not pulling them
occasionally.
out of the milk you're not pulling them out of the milk
I don't
soon
want to
enough.
make a mess. Like,
You don't make a mess. What the hell? You just dunk them in milk and then pull them out. It's not like it's
I'm
it's not like you're
probably
gonna get
making
milk all over you.
justifications for my lack of experiencing Oreos in the optimum fashion right now. I'm probably just justifying my self-existence.
You
Oh,
are.
and
You're
apparently
resisting.
MMM's also listening to y'all while watching a Muppet murder movie. It's very strange. Oh, dang it,
You
nobody's
got
ever suffered from autocorrect on the internet.
and
A popsicle with hot chocolate milk? How does that even work? Isn't that hot chocolate? Wait a second. Hot chocolate
I've never
milk? I don't
tried
even
a
know how this works.
popsicle with hot
My
chocolate
tummy is
milk.
bubbling. Good night, kitty. Thank you
Good
for joining
night.
us. Have a good sleep. I took a power nap earlier. Well, it's okay.
Oh my
Okay.
dang
I
God,
guess
that's not what I
now.
said.
Okay. I probably lingered too long. I believe a Dega is correct. I need to pull it out earlier. This is key. When you are shoving that thing into that
Oh my
milkiness,
God.
you got to pull it out. Because if I
Okay.
stay there too long, it's going to become saturated. So all I need to do is literally just a quick dunk, because that's also going to spread the milk around. So I'm going to topologically not. Okay, maybe that's my error here.
Maybe
I'm not.
this is my
I get too
problem.
lazy. Okay. Okay, I have dropped it into the milk before, and then I try to kind of go fishing it out. Then I save it for. Okay, maybe I had some bad
You rubbed
experiences
it
as
in
a
too
child.
long, Memes. You
Okay,
gotta pull it out
I
sooner.
failed at dunking my stuff and things in the.
What the fuck is going on here?
I'm not quite sure.
See, okay, look, Memes, I say things, and I don't mean them in any way, and this is what happens. Okay, so the truth
I
is,
resemble that. That's how you've given me like 2 or 3 days worth of content just literally in the past 15 minutes.
What? No. Look, all right, I'm gonna teach you how to eat the perfect Oreo, whether it kills me. All right. You got to dunk it and then you got to check it every so often. You got to check it. You got to pull it out of that milk and you got to check it and look at it. If it's too soft for what you want, you just get another one. But you know what? If it's the level of crispness, I can't say that word. You know what I'm saying? If it's the level you want, then you eat it. It's just, it's not that deep. Adega, shut up.
I think it's the level of firmness.
It is. If it's too soft, you get another Oreo and you just ignore it or you send it to me because I like them that way. But if it's not, then you're fine. Try it. Look, life is about experience, right? It's about trying new things. It's about learning what it is you like and what it is you don't. And sometimes you just have to experiment.
Wait a second. There was an Eevee here. What evolution? Oh, she's a Flareon.
What?
Well, it's the red hair. It's the evolution of
He
an
pointed
Eevee.
at me, so I'm like,
Come on.
what?
I think I don't know. I assume that's what Kefki is talking about. All of a sudden, it just popped up, even though temporally I saw the other thing first because I am bad. Now, okay, I'm not gonna lie. Totally taking the double stuffed Oreos. I made quadruple stuffed Oreos. Oh
You
my
can do double stuff.
god! It gets.
You can do double stuff. And you do not do 2 or 3. Nope, you do one at a time.
I tried doing 3. It required too much work.
One at a time, Memes. One at a time. You have to be patient. You do it one at a time. You build up. You do each Oreo. You see which one you like. That's how you do it. None of this. I'm sorry, honey. No 2 or 3 at once. One at a time. You dunk it. You try it. If it doesn't work, you dunk another one. If that doesn't work, you dunk another one until you find that sweet spot that you like. God, this just sounds so wrong. But
Now,
you know what I'm trying to say.
The beautiful thing is, once the transcript to this episode generates, we could probably just go through that and replace every single mention of a pastry with something else, and the conversation would probably still make sense.
We're just talking about Oreos, y'all. It's not that deep.
No, I mean, we could probably post this in like some adult fan fiction or something.
No,
And people might be
we're
into
just
it.
talking about cookies.
Oh.
What?
Okay, I was gonna say maybe I could also post the content to Pornhub, but technically my Pornhub channel is just me. I'm not supposed to post other people and stuff, so yeah, I would need to add you onto the account and everything. So
We're just talking about cookies. Now, if y'all are making euphemisms, that's on you. We're all adults. You could do what you want. But I'm just talking Oreos.
nobody would ever make a euphemism on the internet.
Never. I only have like almost 10 parody accounts. That's all, but never.
Well, I mean, you do have your own parody accounts of tacos, sausages, owls, and everything.
Uh-huh.
See, here's the thing: when somebody spends the time to meme you, they cared enough to meme.
I
you.
know.
That's all I look at it. And this is the thing: it's like, have people not learned yet? It's like, all right, as somebody that happens to be a troll, it's like when you just start like pushing back, that's a lot of what trolls want. They want a response. So you can have good-natured fun, but if you start going, oh my god, and you start banning somebody, someone's going to be like,
I know.
F you, my friend. They're just going to make all these extra accounts and everything like that. It's like, no, I get it. It's like
No.
back in the day on message boards, it's like, okay, what was the things that you actually basically just kind of like pulled down? Well, you pull down spam just because if it was getting in the way of the discussion or anything, or folks started flaming each other, you just moved it to the shadow realm. You put it on the flame boards, the snake pits and everything, and to let this go over there. It's like just on social media right now, it's just, we talked about this the other day, we're just escalating all the dumpster fires and everything, throwing all the oxygen on it.
Yeah.
I sit back, I'm like, well, how do you change this without getting rid of like freedom of speech or something? I'm like, all right, well, let's go back to the old days. Let's legalize doling. maximum freedom, maximum accountability.
You
That's
are
what folks
stuck
say
on
they
that
want, right?
dueling. You
Hey,
are.
I've played out
You
the scenario, and aside from like a transcendental event, which I'm not betting on, that's the best way I see to maintain freedom and accountability. It's a terrible option. I'm open to better ones. I haven't seen
yeah.
one yet.
I don't know. I mean, I see. Okay, I see what you're saying, and I get the principle behind what you're saying, and I agree with it. I do. But dueling, I don't know. I have mixed feelings about that.
It's a terrible thing. I'm asking to legalize
It is.
consensual murder. That's
Yeah, you
essentially what
are.
you're plotting this. But the
You are.
terrible thing is, to actually get it to work, you need to be like, okay, how could this work? And this just started off as like a little bit of a meme. Oh my god, I hate where this is going. We started off with talking about memeing things into reality with Ultra Instinct Shaggy, which is totally cool.
Keep
And now I'm
going.
talking about something that may change society for 100 years or something like that. This is a very bad
Evolution.
thing. We should probably tune out now, folks. But all I'm saying is, okay, I said this, and I would just say it jokingly, and it got a surprising amount of bipartisan support. Like I figured, like you get a decent number of like more conservative folks being for it, but the amount of lefties and just leftists in general that I'm just like we should totally do that. I'm like, it seems surprising to me. Now there are totally
Yeah.
conscientious objectors, and we totally need those people to keep us from going like full on fash mode. But at the same time, I'm like, all right, the other people that tend to object to when I pitch this out, I think are the folks that feel like they might be affected for it. Basically, the folks that want to go around the internet, do a whole bunch of terrible and say horrible things to people and not have any accountability. I believe Lex
Well,
Friedman referred to them as the quote unquote assholes.
see, okay, I'm not an asshole. I may be loud, I may be southern, I may say whatever the hell pops in my mind, but I'm not an asshole. And I won't lie, I've got mixed feelings about your dual theory because I could see somebody I could see crimes of passion happening with that instead of rationality. I could see hotheads getting involved.
Here's the thing. Now again, we live in
Okay.
a civilized society, so
Yeah.
you don't. To be fair, dueling is still technically legal in the great
Yes.
state of Washington as well as down in Texas because
Yeah.
Texas, and basically it's
Yeah.
non-lethal. It's non-lethal. Basically, I heard,
Yeah.
at least heard from one person. Again, I'm not an attorney or anything like that. That basically, if two folks have an issue, if there happens to be a law enforcement officer around, they can basically throw down. The officer only gets in if somebody's basically getting ready to have like life-threatening or something. See, my thing
Okay.
is, okay, now if you're going to literally have consenting adults engage in mortal combat under the doctrine of bodily autonomy, we live in
Okay.
a civilized society. So, of course, we're going to have dueling contracts. You're going to actually have to have binding agreements, as well as you're going to have dueling insurance because, well, that just
Yeah.
makes sense. So, we're also getting work for the lawyers and accountants.
But is it really a civilized society?
I think
Why do
dueling
okay,
will
let me
make it
ask
more
you this. Let me
civilized.
ask you this. Why do you say dueling with contracts and everything that you described? Why do you say that that would be civilized? Convince me.
It would be more civilized in a way. And I need to differentiate this because I acknowledge your point.
Okay.
We shouldn't go around killing each other. That's a bad idea. That is uncivilized. But my thing is, okay, we have human beings. We've adapted over thousands of years. And all of a sudden it's like,
Mhm.
all right, we're used to, over the past thousands of years, we communicate via that, basically seeing eye contact, everything, being face to
Mhm.
face with another individual human being. Over the past 100
Okay.
years, we've kind of adapted to basically talking over the phone, understanding different voice inflections and everything. And now,
Mhm.
over like the past 20 years and stuff, we got things by text, and now we have such a high velocity of information. I don't think the ability of human beings to react to their environments has quite caught up with the internet and social media at this point. So we have a lot of base instincts that I think are built into
Mhm.
us. And at this point, it's literally come up to the position of humanity where it's like, all right, I see a lot of people doing some terrible things. Welcome, Tim, to
Hey,
us
Tim.
on this internet of stuff and things. I'm like, The Dark Lord is
What's up,
among
everyone?
us. What's going on, my friend? I like that.
Damn.
What's up, everyone?
Hey.
My argument to that is, what do we have right now? I look at where the incentives are, and the incentives are pointing in a bad direction. So unless you want to go back and redo all these different incentives, which again we totally can do, but how do we tilt society in a direction that would help maximize freedom and accountability and maybe get people to stop being just overly dicks on this internet stuff and things? I'm like, all right, well, if you're going to go around and say whatever group or community of people are evil, okay, let's play out that logic. Well, evil must be vanquished because you got a bunch of folks that are supporting you because you're fighting against people that they don't like because, well, they're evil. You're not going to be fighting against the good people because that would make you the bad guy, and we can't have that now. So I'm like, okay, if these people are truly evil and evil must be vanquished, it's like, let's let the dog catch the car. Let's just let it happen at this point. Let's give these people what I've heard some folks on the furthest fringes of different sides say, that they literally want to end people. I'm like, okay, let's let them do that. Because if a lot of the banter that's going on and a lot of the most hateful rhetoric is coming from like the furthest edges of different sides there, and those folks end up dragging everyone else falling along the middle into it, I'm like, screw that. Stop getting everyone else dragged in and hoping maybe somebody will do your dirty work for you. You're a very brave culture warrior. Why don't you actually do it? Because this is something that I noticed too. Even, what was it, a few days, like early January of this past year and everything, before January 6th and everything, it's like you had a number of folks in like one of the comment sections of Tim Pool's video. He's like, what if 1 million people showed up and they said they were in charge? They'd be in charge. A few days later, that video didn't necessarily look that well based upon some of the words he was saying, but I digress. In that comment section, there was somebody that happened to be also a louder voice within some of the greater old skeptical community, and they're like, we need a fight for our country. And somebody under them was like, so are you showing up? No response. You got these folks working people up. It's like, all right, if you want this to happen, you're willing to put up right, because otherwise it just separates the true believers from the talkers. So nobody needs to accept anything. Again, it's consensual combat. But the thing is, if you really go out there, and there'll always be the duel me bra guy. Yeah, that'll always be a thing. But people in general, it's like, if you're coming from a good place and you just kind of mess up, most folks kind of know that. But if you truly offend somebody, like one of our founders, Alexander Hamilton, he engaged in mortal combat and he ended up losing his life over honor. Now, if we actually had a component like that, it's like, all right, if it's truly basically, what's the ultimate way to show that someone believes in something? They're willing to die for it. Now, are you willing to die for it, or are you just saying words on the internet to rake in some super berries? I'm just saying, it wouldn't cost you your life, but it would cost you clout. So it puts a cap on doing kind of stupid things on the internet. Just saying.
Yeah, because Adega brought up a good point. Okay, Adega said not necessarily to the death, but what about to the pain?
I never specify what type of duel. Heck, I mean, if you want to do pistols at dawn, long stores at noon, if you want to play a game of Pokemon cards or Yu-Gi-Oh, I don't care.
So
It's
you're
between
like,
consenting adults.
whatever is between them. It doesn't have to be.
Right.
Okay.
Play Call of Duty or Battlefield. I don't really. This is the thing. You can specify. So depending on the offense or something.
Call of Duty.
Well, this is the thing. It's like, if you just want to just play a game, you can have it. We can also build into society. So it's like, all right, there's varying levels of thing. It's like, I tend to believe that even in old scripture and stuff, you have varying levels of sin and everything. So it's like, all right, if you step on someone's foot, you apologize, and maybe you're not going to fight to the death over it. That seems like a not worthwhile thing. But if all of a sudden it's like, you're saying all these horrible things, you're insulting somebody's friend or family member or something like that, you're trying to like dox people or do terrible things, it's like, all right, I've had enough with you. Yes, I challenge you to a duel. At that point, it's like, are you willing to do something? Whoa, I'm just... All I'm saying is I should never be emperor of these United States of America, because I would employ our laws to the absolute maximum. We got that Patriot Act. You're either a patriot or an anti-patriot. Oh my God, it would be so terrible.
Oh my God. I've always said I wanted to be queen just for the tiara, the throne, and the time zone. I would make everything Eastern time zone.
And the free wine.
Yeah, other than that, I don't care.
I think all those things are available at Disney World.
Maybe.
I don't think the wine
And
is
it's
free.
so long.
Maybe
Oh,
with a fancy
probably
one.
not.
I've been watching too much Game of Thrones, I guess.
Well. Okay, Tim. What you just said right there is, again, I still stand by a lot of these ideas I propose. Could they be a solution? Sure. A lot of times they're terrible solutions because they might actually work because I'm employing the logic of basically the Mad Titan Thanos. It's like it is but a simple calculus. Now, anybody that starts to quote somebody named the Mad Titan, you should be concerned about. But at the same time, you think about the logic, it's like, all right, we have these situations here, and we actually had, like in Game of Thrones, Rudy Giuliani at one point, our former president at one point, personal attorney at one point before January 6th was like, let's have trial by combat. And I'm sitting back and I'm like, is this counsel to the current president of the United States saying we should have trial by combat? Now, some number of folks would agree with that, but I'm like, okay, number one, that doesn't necessarily prove innocence or guilt. That just means you were able to like end up defeating the other person.
Yeah.
Dueling is based upon honor. You're both consensually doing that. So I'm like, if this dude that's in a position of power is proposing trial by combat, my proposal of the re-legalization of dueling, okay, I don't think it was ever fully legal, but the legalization of dueling seems rather tame by comparison, no?
Yeah, I mean the system can be rigged. What if you have like a master swordsman guy that's doing all his corrupt stuff or whatever, and then like every time he's tried, just let's set this by the old ways, and he just keeps winning because he's the only trained guy against these like dad bod people that are like 70 or whatever. So yeah,
That's why they would need to have a contract to say, okay, now look, okay, to be fair, if they had a contract and somebody went out and they studied and they buffed up and they got their stuff together, that's on them. If the other person didn't, oh well, too bad, so sad.
Yeah.
You know.
Now another argument for dueling is it's also anti-sexist because at the same time it's like, all right, whoever challenges the other person, the challengee gets to decide upon the grounds of the duel and everything. If you want to go out there, no, this is the thing. If you want to, well, I'm just saying, if you happen to have a dudette that challenges a dude or something like that, I'm like, listen, I don't really care who you are, but all I know is a 40 caliber freaking hollow point. It don't really care what size you are. That is going to F you up. So all you really need to do is
you're a
aim,
man. That's
look at
easy
the
for
collect-
you to say. That is easy for you to say.
I know gals that can shoot.
Okay, but not all of us can. So that wouldn't be my challenge. I would have to challenge
a lot of dudes don't know how to shoot.
Okay, so why's it got to be dueling though? You said it was a contract. It could be anything, right?
Right. It doesn't have.
So
well,
it could be a cake baking contest, right?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Or golf.
Whatever the two people agree on, it would have to be whatever they
terrible
agree.
at both those things. I see your point. Wow.
But so, I can bake a cake I can bake a cake that would make a man's stomach just freaking want more. That's my specialty. And now I'm going to learn how to shoot a gun. That's my goal. I've got 4 of them. I inherited 4 of them. And I intend to learn how to use those suckers and take them apart and clean them. And I want to do the full Monty. But for right now, that wouldn't be my challenge. It would be something else that I know I could do and that somebody else could do. So if you're saying, okay, it would be a challenge, there would be a contract involved, but it would have to be agreeable to both parties, then it could be anything, right? That's the stipulation.
Yeah. No. Well, okay. And this is why I say, like, I think a lot of it really depends kind of on the tone of what was going on. Because, okay, to be fair with what you just said right there, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, I thought you just got eaten or bitten by a cat.
I know. I got a cat in here who's biting on me. It's all good.
These things happen.
She's wanting attention and she gets nibbly and it's just like, ow. Okay, go ahead. But I'm listening.
Right, I see. No, but you know what? That actually makes my proposal better in some ways because it's like, all right, we have a bit of a disagreement. Rather than getting all angry about it, let's bake some cakes. What's the worst response? We have cake to eat. Whereas if folks really want to escalate to the point where I want you no longer to exist, that option is available. So don't act like that option or situation is occurring. unless you actually want it to occur.
Wait. Then why are you going to not to exist? Is this a life or death situation you're thinking about?
I'm trying to say not duel to the death.
Okay, so it could be you could use it to solve the slightest disagreement to not go to the death. It could be a myriad of situations. Correct?
Well, that's why it's agreed upon. That's the thing. If you
Yes.
basically start insulting somebody that had lost a child and you challenge that person, the person's like, okay, I'll do a bake-off or a Yu-Gi-Oh game. It's like, I'm not sure that's commensurate with the offense there. That's why I'm like, okay, you would actually have the agreements and everything, because again, we live in a society. So, hi, Zachary.
Okay,
But-
so I have a practical situation for you then. Okay, are you ready for a practical situation?
Go on.
Okay, over Thanksgiving, I had some relatives that I haven't seen for 10 years. Okay, they didn't come to my husband's memorial. I haven't heard from them. You know, it's just, it is what it is. And that's fine. We all have those relatives that, you know, they'll send us the occasional card or you'll occasionally see them once in a blue moon. But, you know, for the most part, they're over there doing their thing. You're over here doing your thing. Okay. So they were like, you know, oh, how you doing, honey? How you doing? How's it going? You know, are you moving on? And then when I say yes, then they give me that, oh, but are you moving on too fast? You know, it's like, oh my God, just shut up and leave me alone. Okay. So I could use the cake baking scenario, okay, to say, look, you're getting on my nerves. You're getting in my space. I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to talk to you about this. This is private. This is my business, but you won't leave it alone. So let's have a cake baking competition. We'll sign a contract. Whoever wins, if you win, then I'll tell you all the sordid details you need to know. If I win, you back off and leave me the hell alone. Is that a practical example?
Is that like the plot of Squid Games?
No, this is my life. I mean,
Well, I haven't watched Squid Games, yes,
this
but
is
I'm
my
just like,
life.
I feel like you just created like the next great reality show right there. It's like,
I'm just because I'm not going to duel somebody to the death. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm not. You know, whatever. But I'm just saying, in your proposal, that could be an actual thing. Yes. Is that? I mean, I'm trying to suss out what you're.
No. Well, this is the thing. It's like, again, I would much prefer just people using words and actually having conversations with each other, because
I get it, but
I
some
think a
people
lot of this.
don't back off. They don't back off. They
Well, a
keep
lot of this is because
digging
of
and
social
picking
media,
and-
because of like public appearances and stuff. Because a lot of times when you get off like being publicly broadcast, that's why I'm like, I think a lot of the best discussions happen before and after the different broadcasts and everything. Because I've literally had, after some broadcasts, literally had like 3.5 hour conversations with different folks, God rest their souls,
Yeah.
about basically like different stuff and things. And like, I felt like I learned a lot from those conversations. Did I necessarily agree with the person? No, a lot of times we would
I
just banter
agree.
for hours. But yeah, I've had folks literally say, it's like, well, what do you actually think of that? And then as soon as the camera or something comes on, people's personalities seem to change. They need to put on things. So it's like, all right, well, again, I'd rather not have to keep track of my lies, because I'm a terrible liar. I'm actually a very good liar, but I just dislike it. But I'm just like, all
Right.
right, well, let me just be consistent, just regulate my profanity. So, Tim, what are
But
your
see,
thoughts?
well,
Go
go
on,
ahead.
finish.
Go ahead. No. Go ahead, Tim. I want to know your thoughts.
Well, I guess my first question is, how did this all take off? Like, what is the preface of all of this that like got us to this moment? What are we asking here? Oh, do we want trial by combat, or is there better methods? What is the exact question? Like, you know,
Equality.
I believe specifically what you're asking right
What the
here.
fuck is going on here?
Thank you, Eve.
Pretty much.
I think it's basically us being a lot of OG human beings. I believe over the past few thousand years, probably we really haven't changed that much, aside from like memetically and like our knowledge of technology and stuff and things. You combine that with human beings that have certain predilections and stuff like that from like a few thousand years ago. You combine that with Twitter and Facebook, and I'm like, everything that's happening kind of makes sense to me. It doesn't really surprise me. I'm just like, if you just look at like a lot of what happened through history, it's like, I don't really think we've adapted to be ready for this stuff yet. So it's like, and then when you just look at the incentive structure, it's like, what's incentivized? It's like, well, if you're going to get the most attention, that is often monetizable by just saying a whole bunch of crazy things. Of course, people are going to say crazy things. Why? Because they're getting paid. I'm just like, all right, you can let people do that. I'm just saying that if they want to do that, let's just have old school accountability as well. If you want to say terrible things about somebody, that person can ask for an apology. If you are unwilling to apologize, that person can demand satisfaction. Now, you don't need to accept it, but at that point, folks will know that you're just a talker. You're not really a true believer. So you just take a hit to clout.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess like authenticity or whatever, like people being genuine in what they're saying. Because like there's an element of that in everything, like news, media, even on YouTube. It's hard to find what's like actual reality and not. I think that's the major issue with what's going on in the world, because like you'll only know what you're tuning into. Like if you have one person just watching one station, they're only gonna hear that one station. If you don't listen to the other stations and get a collective mindset, then you're gonna be like jaded, right? And that's not reality. And like I think about Twitter, that's not reality. What is there only so many, like a small percentage of the world that are actually on Twitter? And then for some reason, all the elitists and Hollywood people are on there, like the influencers are on there, but that's not like the normal person walking down the street. It's just not. And then like Facebook, like majority of like the major corporations lean one side, which is very problematic because that creates like an imbalance of thought in one side. We see what happens when people think one way, or like the media thinks one way, like the past 2 years or 3 years.
I would almost argue that I'm not even necessarily sure that's fully true. To an extent, I do agree with you, but at the same time, I'm like, well, if they all do this, why don't you see actual substantive change? I hear a lot of nice words. I see people doing the occasional thing in this, but I'm like, are you actually trying to change the root problem? And I'm like, unfortunately, I think a lot of these corporations as well, they are also bounded by their fiduciary duty to maximize the return on revenue to their shareholders. So they might say a lot of nice things, and they do nice things as well. And definitely nothing against the folks that actually work there, but it's like, if your board of directors and your executives are like, we need to maximize profit, it's like, are you necessarily going to focus on every single employee thing? Are you necessarily going to want to do all these things that may provide more value to the consumer if it's going to hit your bottom line? You literally legally can't.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the problem.
I think the biggest question, I've like studied marketing, it's like I question how they conduct these studies. What makes this study more efficient than this other one? Obviously, like with Star Wars, that you use with like the diversity and inclusion, blah blah blah. And it's like based on what makes these numbers more valid than these numbers on how you conduct your study. What makes this valid? And because they're going for like this international appeal, but like with the Eternals, like overseas places are not America. They're going to stay in their traditions and not evolve. And so that's the reason why like they're not being released over there. Some of these movies are not released over there, as like China won't release some of these Marvel movies. So, they need to go back to a little bit of the drawing board. And then also I want to bring up the fact that the major issue is like these ads or articles coming about like a certain topic and people not actually reading them. It's like clickbait stuff. They read the headlines and they take that as news rather than actually reading the material. And then they'll go out, sprout out, sharing it. And I'm like, that's very, like, we live in a place where we're getting like access misinformation, I feel like.
So, Tim, what you're describing right there, I would say within physics, we actually classify that as the principle of least action. So basically, what's the least amount of effort we need to put in to maximize return on whatever results we want? It's like, oh my God, I see a headline that I totally disagree with. Hold on. I'm just going to get this tab open. I'm going to share this thing, and we're going to actively read it right here because this obviously is going to enrage us. No matter what happens, I need to make sure I have my particular narrative. And to be fair to actually the quartering, he actually admitted in one of the times he was doing that, he basically realized, oh, well, it was different than what actually the actual title was. He's like, well, I bring these up so you get my authentic reaction, because that's totally what any good journalist would do. I apologize. Sometimes I read the articles, but this is the thing. It's like you're doing the thing, and you have an idea in your head. I've already titled this. I've already put this description. I've already made this thumbnail with these laser eyes and everything. I can't not say that these people are crazy and nutty bananas and going to ruin actual modern civilization. No, I've already sold it that way, so I need to put whatever flavoring on it that is required. And you can do it well, and this is one of those things where it's like, all right, well, I sit back and like what I tend to gauge things by is how often is somebody willing to admit they're wrong? If you have somebody and they're like never willing to apologize for anything, I'm like, so what you're kind of saying is like you're the second coming, or are you a prophet? I thought a lot of scripture said that there weren't going to be any more prophets or anything. I mean, if you are, let me know. But it's like I ain't no god nor prophet. I'm just some dude wearing a yellow shirt on the internet. So it's like the ability to just acknowledge just reality, I think.
Yeah, at least a follow up like video or something, like retracting what you said or whatever.
That is much commonplace for everybody that's talking about.
What the fuck's going on here?
Breaking the multiverse, people. That's what we're attempting to
Yeah, it's an interesting concept. I mean, I won't lie. It's not without its hitches, because then you have to figure out everything out. But I mean, it's an interesting concept.
Yeah.
There are ways going to.
Oh no, I'm just saying, yeah. Yep. Interesting concept, but no, it's just like, I mean, more accountability. People should because of what I notice, even if they're wrong, they don't address it and they continue on that rabbit hole. They just keep making more videos without addressing stuff, and they just keep going, and it just gets worse and worse or whatever.
La 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 la. It's like, and this is one of those things where it's like, see, for me, I don't really care what people think for the most part, as long as you're not like really harming another individual. I just prefer to see there's balance. And if I see a bunch of folks that I happen to know, and I basically see what appears to me, in all due respect, is it's kind of just a circle wank. I'm just like, most of these folks, and occasionally get somebody that will slightly push back a little bit, but maybe they don't necessarily have the strongest of personalities or something, so they kind of get, it's this bit. It's kind of like Juan Williams on Fox News. All due respect to Mr. Williams, but like if you got like 4 or 5 other extremely strong personalities as kind of the token left guy, which I very often am the token left guy within a number of the circles I'm around, it's like, all right, I get that, but at the same time, it's like I don't really care. I'm not going to necessarily say you're absolutely wrong. I mean, if you're pointing out something that, as far as I know, maybe I have additional information. This is something that I learned from Professor Peterson, who, when I met in Boston several years ago, I told him he was a pretty good wizard. What is a wizard? A wizard is a person who changes the world around them via verbal and semantic components, i.e., their words and actions. But he's like, well, maybe we should assume that we could learn something from somebody. If I hear a bunch of folks, very often at times referencing Professor Peterson, I'm like, well, have you learned any of the useful things that maybe he was saying and maybe taking them into account? Because very often I will learn things that I don't know, and I wouldn't know that unless I opened up and was willing to hear a person out. It's not always easy. Maybe you're not getting the optics, and a lot of this as well is, I think what happens to folks, and again, I'll go back to, oh God, I need the clip of Jeremy going, Gamergate. It's like, all right, you had some folks, they had some issues and everything, and whether it was The Last Jedi or anything, I think what happens to a lot of these folks is a lot of those folks, they had legitimate gripes, and you come online the internet, and then you realize the people that get the most attention are very often saying the things the loudest and often being more antagonistic to folks. And the thing is about YouTube is YouTube finds an audience for your channel. And if your channel is grown off of people getting very angry at certain things, don't be surprised if you're seated in the algorithm, and if you don't have content that's basically making people get enraged about stuff, might not find them. And again, see, for me, the algorithm's like, what the F is going on? It's like, all right, you got workout videos, you got science videos, you got freaking modern technology videos, you got controversial political videos. It's like, who are you? And as we all know, it's wrong clip.
I gotta sing the doom song now.
Leave me alone.
Okay, but you know what? First of all, I'm all about Peterson. Okay, I'm all about his wisdom. But I'm going to say what I said last week. Total balance may not be the key. Okay, you can scale things to where you have complete and utter balance, or seemingly utter balance, but that doesn't mean it's necessarily good, and that doesn't necessarily mean we have to have complete and total balance in society. I do think we need to have utter balance within ourselves, because then we can weather anything. If you have balance within yourself, whether things are good or bad, you can navigate and you can deal with it, and it's personal and you can work through it. But I don't know. I mean,
I see. I think perfect balance. I think, and again, I tend to think it's like, well, we're human beings. We're perfectly imperfect creatures. It's
we
like,
are.
and
I agree.
none of us are God. We might be of
I
God,
agree.
potentially within the mind of God. Some may say, but at the same time,
Mhm.
it's like if you can acknowledge our imperfections, that is actually the one thing that God does not possess: limit. And if we can acknowledge that, it's like, okay, while we might not be able to achieve perfection, I think we can be within at least a decent operating range, because there's always going to be some interplay as well. So
Yes.
whether it's the light side, the dark side, left, right, whatever it may be, there's always going to be some balance. There's going to be pushback. And as long as you're within more of a healthy zone, I think you could continue. And the problem is, if you go all one way or all the other, at that point, you're out of balance. And I think you tend to come full circle. And that's how we kind of see totalitarianism and stuff. And that's essentially my concern.
You do, but what is that one thing that we are always strive for? We may never achieve it, but what is that one thing within God we're always supposed to strive for? Perfection. We know we're never going to achieve perfection. Only God can achieve perfection in whatever form that you see him in. It's perfection. But that's what we're asked of. That's what we're supposed to be striving for. And maybe that balance is part of that. Striving for that balance, trying to find a way to navigate things without losing your mind or without going ballistic or without killing each other. I don't know. It's a thought. It's something to think about. We will never achieve perfection, but we're always supposed to strive for it, because it makes us better and it makes us grow and it makes us achieve things.
That's why I tend to kind of concur with the Gray Jedi.
Flowing through all, there is balance. There is no peace without a passion to create. There's no passion without peace to guide. Knowledge stagnates without the strength to act. Power blinds without the serenity to see. There's freedom in life. There's purpose in death. The force is all things, and I am the force.
I like that.
I like it too.
That's
Makes
totally
sense.
why I did a video. I stole it from whatever the clip art was. And everything. It's and the Revan theme and stuff, just because we can. But
Yeah.
we're coming up along 2 hours. This has actually been quite fun. We went from
Yeah.
the Ultra Instinct Shaggy meme to actually like literally having it be memed into reality in Multiverse's new Warner Brothers game, which is essentially a kind of a Smash Brothers. Kind of looks like a clone, but it's got its own unique mechanics and stuff. Apparently, we went from that to dueling, and Timothy Potter joined us, and he's rocking that hat and looking very
Yeah, he
sharp
is.
and everything. I mean, look at this guy. Look at this guy. He's been
I
working out and everything. You
know,
can
right?
tell.
I'm trying to, man. Trying to get
Dude,
back
look at
into
that
it.
shirt. Look at that dark shirt and everything. Dude.
Awesome.
I got it. No, I see the Instagram photos as well and everything. I'm gonna have to add all of y'all's channels and everything down the doobly doo. So how about this, Miss Arwen? What would you like to wrap up with?
Oh my God. Shoot, tomorrow I think I'm gonna be on Makani Draws. I'm gonna be on his stream with Maria. And then Monday, what I normally do is I normally put my schedule. I haven't done it in the past couple of weeks because one week was my birthday and the other week I just slacked. It was Thanksgiving. But I normally put a schedule together for the week and I post it on my Twitter. And then you can, I've got my channel, Arwen Avalon, YouTube. And so that'll tell you what I'm doing for the rest of the week. But right now, that's what I've got. So that's it.
Cool.
Subscribe.
Thank you very much. All right, Mr. Tim.
On Monday we are doing House of Gucci at 8:30 p.m. ET. Spoiler review. I'm in a panel on that, and then Wednesday, my Potterheads, Memes, and Arwen, and everyone else. We're doing another stream. Haven't decided what time. What 9 o'clock ET this time?
That works for me.
All right.
Or
so
whatever.
maybe a little earlier. Yep. So check it out. Part 2. We're going back to Gryffindor, or no, Hogwarts. Sorry.
So somebody was tilting his hat in a particular direction there. Not that there's anything wrong with that at all. But it's all right. It's all right. And again, I am the memes of destruction, this internet of stuff and things. And again, I have a primary question that needs to be answered.
Do you like turtles?
This is incredibly important. And hey, peace out, everybody. Thank you all for joining. And no matter what happens, we gotta remember.
How do you know if any of this stuff is true? How do you know someone didn't just make it up?
What? You mean just lie? You really think someone would do that? Just go on the internet and tell lies?
I just mean that some of the details...
Whoa, I never thought of that. This is terrible. What if none of it's true? What if they're all lying? How would we ever know?
Have you guys checked out the Memes of Destruction's channel? He's an interesting dude. I like him.